Hey folks, on today's Roland Martin Unfiltered, another strange death in Ferguson. We'll talk to the mother of a man who she says did not commit suicide, that he was lynched in her backyard. Also, Oprah was in Georgia campaigning for Stacey Abrams, who's running for governor of that particular state. It was a stunning day for her. Not only did Oprah give 2 speeches, she also went door to door knocking on behalf of Stacey Abrams. We'll show you some of what Oprah had to say. The Congressional Black Caucus demands one of the top 2 spots if Dems take the House. Also, no shock, Donald Trump promotes a racist, shameful ad blaming Democrats for an illegal immigrant who killed an American. Guess what? His ass is lying. I'll explain to you in the show. Also, somehow a white man killing 2 black people just after he tried to break into a black church is not a hate crime. Kentucky, what the hell is going on? Also, an entitled white man spews out the N-word at a Dunkin' Donuts. A sister clapped back real quick. And also, author Sally Cohn is here, says we are all haters and we need to stop all the rancor. We'll explain about her new book. It's time to bring the funk. Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, the son of Ferguson activist Melissa McKinney's Danye Jones was found hanged October 17th. She says he was lynched with a sheet. Now, cops are investigating it as a suicide. This is the fourth African-American who was an activist in Ferguson found dead. A couple of others actually were found burned in their cars. What the hell's going on there in Ferguson? We talked to Melissa earlier today.
October 17th, I woke up and went downstairs because the light was left on in his room, and we were going down there to tell him to turn his light off, you know, because I'm real particular about saving on, you know, the bills and everything. So we went down there. Well, my husband, he went down there, and he came back up and said he's not down there. So I said, no, you know, he wouldn't be gone at this time because he's been studying and taking notes and everything. So he's been mainly in the house taking care of everything. So I went down there. He wasn't down there. And so I I found a brick by where he sleeps. And I'm like, that's odd. So I got the brick, and I was taking it outdoors because I thought that he was maybe sitting out there because he goes out there and works out, you know, at night. So I went out to take the brick, and once I got out there, I looked over at the tree, and I saw this chair turned over. And so I'm like, what is this? What is my yard doesn't normally look like this. So something told me to look up, and when I looked up, there was my son in a tree, hanging. So I screamed his name, and I told my husband, ran to get my husband and I remember falling to the ground, and my husband said, yes, that's him, you know. And that's when I called the police, and my brother and husband went to get him out of the tree because that's what the 911 dispatcher said. Take him down from the tree. So before they took him down from the tree, my brother took his picture because, you know, we know what they like to do, or they had it on to do when someone of, you know, activist is involved or anything or whatever. So my brother just wanted to make sure that it didn't come back, you know, on me or them, or, you know, that, and we had all the evidence, because we don't even trust the system to do right by us. The police started off saying that it is what it looks like, and from the beginning I told them this needs to be investigated. So we got word that they were telling people that it was suicide, but they told us just the other day that it's not suicide when we asked for the sheet back, because we know that sheet did not come from my home. So they gave us everything back, his clothes, and did not give us his sheet back. So if it was suicide, I just said sheet back. So now they're saying it's going to look like it's suicide, but we're still going to, I guess, investigate now. After we called them for a sheet, the sheet had Army knots, Navy knots in it. My son was never in Boy Scouts, never in any kind of military. He served in no military, none, no militia, none of that. Oh, I know there's no way he did that. My family, the ones who know him best, not the self-proclaimed family that are saying all of this negative mess everywhere or whatever. They're self-proclaimed. My real family, his real family, we know Danye Deion Jones. And we know that what he told us, when we talk about it, we talk about, because people in the past, have committed suicide or whatever. He was totally against it. Totally. I mean, he was adamant. He's totally against it. For one, because of my medical condition. And he's always said that he's going to take care of me. That's why he started his businesses. But two, he loved his mother. He loved his family. He wouldn't leave us. We have too much fun. We're playful. This is all the time. My son and me, this is all the time. I know for sure. This is not something that I'm just maybe partially sure about. Because I know him, he did not do what they said. I want to see my son to be treated as a person who is loved, who is cared for, and I need his life to matter. I want them to put in the effort that they will put in Sally, Sue, or Billy and Bobby. I want them to put that same effort and to find out what happened to him as they would with them. And also, whoever's involved, they better turn somebody in. They better turn on each other. Because this mother right here, they saw me go hard for Michael Brown and in the Jason Stockley case. They ain't saying nothing. I'm going hard for this one. They took mine. They touched mine. They came to my house. They touched mine. Big mistake. Thinking they're going to shut me up, shut me down, or whatever. No, they just really pissed me off. Pissed me totally off. This is something that I've loved for almost 25 years. And they took him from me. No. And if anything ever happens to me or my family, I have like 100 others. Thousands. But I'm going hard for mine. I can't even cry no more. I'm stuck. I can't even grieve. I'm stuck. 25 years. his own business. I'm stuck. Just say his name over and over again until he gets justice. Not me, not his sister and brother. Danye, make sure his name is known. Make sure he is respected. That's it. Until we get some type of justice, I'm going to scream his name, and I want everybody to scream his name.
All right, folks, a powerful interview there with the mother, again, of Danye Jones. Now, other Ferguson activists who have been found dead over the last several years, DeAndre Joshua was found in his car, shot dead and lit on fire. Unresolved case. Darren Seals was found in his car, shot dead and lit on fire. Also unsolved. Edward Crawford, the subject of an iconic protest photo. And that is the protest photo, you might remember, of the brother who was in Ferguson who grabbed one of the bombs. He was throwing it back. Well, he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, cops say suicide. In that case, family says it was an accident. So what is going on there in Ferguson right now? Let's go to Missouri State Senator Maria Chappelle Nadal, who joins us right now. And Senator Chappelle Nadal, again, for cops to say 2 guys shot in the car, burned, unsolved, I mean, come on. I don't know of too many cases where individuals are burned in their cars and shot, and then both of them were protesters and activists there in Ferguson.
That's exactly right, Martin. I got to tell you that people are on edge here in St. Louis because time and time again, there are people who have been identified as protesters, as activists, and really the environment that we are in is very dangerous. And nothing has changed since 2014, to be quite honest. And there are a lot of people who are in our system politically and otherwise who don't really care about what is going on and want to cover up the reality of our situation when it comes to race relations and equity and systematic racism. And in my gut, I believe that we are dealing with a community and people who live in the state who want to shut us down and quiet us so that we are not vocal. And the experience that I've had as a state senator, I've seen time and time again a lot of people who have just been trying to get through the system, and for one reason or another, they've not been able to do that. There's a great example of an African-American woman who was in the St. Louis County Police Department, who left the police department. She had amazing scores, but she was the victim of not only sexual harassment, but also racism within the department. And so I feel as though, and I'm speaking as an elected official, I'm speaking as a woman, I'm speaking as a person of color, I truly believe that there is an effort to shut people down if that means the death of a loved one. That is what happens.
I've got to ask you this here. State police involved? Has anybody demanded that the Attorney General appoint a special prosecutor? I mean, first, we're relying on local police. Clearly, that's an issue here. Has any of that happened?
Well, that's the irony about this, Martin. First of all, we have an election coming up. And you would think this situation with Melissa, her son, if you look at his Facebook page, he was totally positive. He had a 2-year-old son. Totally positive. He had his own business, as she mentioned. And there is no indication whatsoever that he had any kind of depression, anything like that, because everything about his being was positive. And so that's why I'm trying to figure out, why isn't the ACLU involved in this? Why isn't the Southern Poverty Law Center involved in this? Does this have anything to do with the election that we have coming up on Tuesday? And I'm telling you, I've seen the other side, and I can tell you that in my gut, I feel that there is an effort to quiet this situation, this travesty down because of the election. the more our voices are heard before Tuesday, that is going to make an impact on what happens. And that's, I just don't understand it, because usually we would have
Right.
the Defamation League involved in this, and we
Right.
don't.
Let me ask you this question. You talk about the election. I want to switch gears here. First of all, this is a story that we certainly will continue to cover to try to get more answers. But I got to ask you, you spoke of the election. There's been this back and forth between you and Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill in a tight race there, trying to hold on to her seat. She put out a radio ad talking about crazed Democrats, and she went on Fox News and specifically named you. You fired back at her as well. I'm just trying to understand, if you were a United States Senator in one tough race, and Trump is coming to town, you need as many black votes as possible. What the hell is Claire McCaskill doing?
Well, let me just tell you, this week in our daily paper, she said it was the Kavanaugh protesters who were yelling at different senators. She said that. And then she said that it was Bernie Sanders and people like Elizabeth Warren. And then a day later, she said it was me on Fox News. This woman, if you can call her that, is an opportunist. She is willing to give up everything of value to the Democratic Party for her win. This radio ad is only played in rural Missouri, and we want to know, all of us want to know, is she talking about African Americans? Is she talking about the LGBT community? Is she talking about protesters? And so when she called me out specifically, she's talking about a group of people who are progressive people. And so right now, the community that I represent, we're making T-shirts that say "Crazy Democrats" because most of us are going to be voting against her. She has not had a relationship with the black community for a very long time. She decided to have an office in Ferguson just because it seems sexy. But let me tell you, she has not been in the black community. And I urge every single African American and every single woke other person in the state of Missouri to reconsider their vote for Claire McCaskill. And here's the word on the street. And let me just tell you this. People say, well, it's better to vote for the devil that you know, but why do you have to vote for a devil at all?
Good point. Senator Maria Chappelle Nadal, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Martin.
All right, then I want to bring my panel right now. Joining us, A. Scott Bolden, of course, former head of the D.C. Democratic Party, also attorney here in D.C., Monique Presley. She also joins us, of course, principal at the Presley firm. And we also have Malik Abdul, Republican communication strategist, with us as well. I want to talk about the Missouri race. Again, I don't know who the hell is advising a Democratic senator who is in a tight race. You might not want to piss off a black state senator the week before the election when you need every vote possible. Now, I mean, Scott, that's not smart politics.
It's not smart politics, but here's the equation. People of color who vote or may not vote in Missouri, and I heard the state senator's message, but who are they going to vote for then? They got to vote. McCaskill's people know that, and she needs those rural white working class voters in Missouri.
Yeah, but
so that's why she's running.
Yeah, but here's the problem.
That message may make her feel good, make the state senator feel good, and you feel good. But the reality is, who black people going to vote for?
No, here's the deal.
Republican in Missouri.
Here's the deal. If you're a Democrat,
black people not to vote for the Democrat.
Listen. If you're a
either.
Democratic senator, it is stupid to, first of all, in a year where we're seeing across the country, Monique, Democrats with significant enthusiasm to run an ad saying, oh, the crazed Democrats. Now, you can say, this is who I am, these are my beliefs, things along those lines, but you don't attack the very people who are out there trying to mobilize on your behalf. That's just dumb politics. And again, you can be competing for rural white voters, but here's the deal. You can't win if your side is depressed and then you hoping they're going to turn out. Monique, go ahead.
That's not true.
I
agree with
how they going to turn out?
I agree with Scott.
She's 7 to 9 points down.
I'm trying to
She
agree
needs
with you.
white votes.
Can she talk?
Yes.
So,
not my show.
You know what? Oh, Lord, man speak abounds. Man speak abounds. Listen, she barely won before, right? And she was running against that cat that had all the legal issues.
And also who was sexist.
I mean, she's in a ruby red area. She's not supposed to really have that seat. And I think that obviously the state senator is right. She's desperate, but she's desperate and probably leaning toward some accurate political advice and hedging her bets to pull out rural voters on the fence who really don't want to see the Republican majority stay in. And she is counting on what they always count on, taking the black vote for granted.
Well,
and
'cause they
thinking
got
that,
no place
but
else to
she's
vote.
but she's trying to alienate the fringe. She's trying to alienate the far left for the sake of some middle people, for the sake of some independents, and it's a tight, close race.
Malik,
so
this is
I'm
very
not saying
simple.
I blame her.
Malik, this is very
Not
simple.
that close.
Malik, this is very
It is
simple.
that close.
This is very simple. When you start breaking down
lose.
numbers, when you start looking at races, okay, the one thing you don't do is you don't tick off your own side. All right? There's a way for you to run to appeal to people. What you don't do a week before the election is get into a pissing match with a black state senator who, first of all, has already won her race, okay, and who represents a significant number of people, and then to go, well, they're gonna vote for me anyway. Okay,
Yeah.
you can be proven wrong.
Yeah. And I, as one of those who left the Democratic Party for reasons just like what we're discussing right now, because what we're saying is that, well, they have other voters that they need to get. And so let's not worry about the black voters or offending black
They
voters.
need more. She needs
And
more of them than us.
I totally
Just
understand
a political
that.
decision
Okay.
on her
But
part.
it's a
She
political
might,
decision.
no. Hold on. Let me correct this. And Greg Carr, I want to bring you in. I know you're from Chicago, head of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Is that a question? She needs more of them than us. No, she needs us and them.
Good
But
point.
But
we
you
ain't
can't.
got
Hold
nowhere else to
up.
vote
You
but for
can't
her,
see, and
regardless of
that's
the
the
state senator's
mistake.
position.
Which is
That's the
why,
mistake. It's
which is
reality.
why, Greg Carr, you don't
pragmatic.
piss off black people a week before the election. Greg, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And people out here, Jeremiah Wright says hello, everyone here. Missouri is a difficult state and has been since the Missouri Compromise. At the end of the day, we have to be smart.
Exactly.
Look,
We do.
we're talking about the federal bench.
Yes,
We're talking about appeals courts, possible another Supreme Court nomination. We're talking about, for me, that is the central issue in all of this when
Right.
it comes down to this. Yes, you don't want to piss black people off, but if it's a dead heat and McCaskill feels like she can beat Hawley with a few more white votes, she might not be doing the calculus right. But at the end of the day, we've got to get past this. We got to look at the bigger picture.
Yes, we do.
I'm not saying that the political strategy is correct, and I'm saying that black folks can't just jump out there because Hawley is a known quantity. We know what we're going to get with him. We might even get. Lindsey Graham was talking about introducing this 14th Amendment nonsense. They just want to get it to the courts. What if he introduces legislation and because of this she loses by a percentage point or two? And you're looking at Hawley in the Senate, and now he's got to vote solidly in favor of this 14th Amendment.
Which is why, Greg.
I'm just saying we have to look beyond.
But which is why, in this case, what I keep saying is, politicians like Claire McCaskill should also not say, oh, well, y'all get over it. Y'all deal with the bigger picture. No, you also running, look at the bigger picture. It's just not smart politics. And again, there's a way for you to thread a needle, but you don't criticize your own side when you need as many of them as possible. And I'm not talking about just black people. There are white Democrats in Missouri who are like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
We out here trying to canvass people. We got people who want to get out of here and pass stuff out. And then you run the ads and you dogging us. So this ain't just black people. There are white Democrats.
Dogging
But
all
if there-
Democrats.
but if there
She was
are
dogging
people,
the far left.
Listen, November 6th is coming. If there are people watching right now who are in Missouri, I need you to go vote for that crazy white woman. Do you hear me? Are you listening to me? You can be mad.
How about this here?
November
So,
7th.
November 6th.
Roland
How
is
about
right.
this here?
Roland
November
might be
6th
right.
is on Tuesday. Crazy white woman.
Yes.
Stop being crazy.
No, even if
what is
she
your
doesn't.
recommendation?
No,
Even
look
if
at
she
Missouri.
doesn't.
No,
Here's
my
vote for the
here's my
Republican or
recommendation.
don't vote at
Claire
all.
McCaskill, what you need to do is pick the damn phone up
no.
and
What
tell
do you want
No,
your
hold up.
voters
Don't
to
ask
do?
me a question. You don't want the answer.
I do.
Claire McCaskill
voters.
should pick that damn phone up and call Marina Chappelle and Dawn and say, look, I apologize for doing that. We need to call a truce. The election is on Tuesday, and look,
Yes.
we can't have back and forth. That's what she should do.
Okay.
But what? No,
What
but
do you
hold
think
up.
about
But
what
what? No, wait. I'm not
Missouri
done.
do?
I am not
That's
done.
right.
But what should
Black
not?
voters.
But what should not happen?
Okay.
Is that a white woman running for United States Senate to somehow think that we are irrelevant, and she can just say, look, no, I'm not done. Y'all gonna come for me anyway, so I'ma dish y'all, I'ma talk about y'all, I'ma slam y'all, and you still gonna vote for me. If you gonna ask black people to look at the larger picture, you better ask that white woman to look at the larger picture as well. Malik,
But
then I'm going to the next story.
She doesn't need to for the conversations that we're having now, because I believe what
She
we're,
can make up with them after
because
November
I believe
6th.
what,
Yeah, okay.
I believe
Ma'am.
what we're
Make up after
saying
November
is
But
that
don't screw up
she'll
and
do
try to make up.
whatever it takes for
You
her
can make
to
all
win.
the speeches you
Isn't
want.
that what
You
we're
did
saying?
wrong about
She's
that.
willing
You
to
did
do
wrong
it.
about that.
She votes
She
in
votes
a way
Democrat.
I'm going.
That's
and
how
I'm getting
the
it.
black
Y'all,
people
You should be
y'all,
telling people not to vote for her.
And
if
they
you
better
want,
know
but
that.
and guess
She
what?
votes in a way
She had better
that
learn.
helps them.
But what she better learn, she better respect the power of that black
Medicaid
vote
expansion.
and don't sit here and play that
We
game.
got less power
All
in that
right,
race.
all right. Greg Carr, your final comment. Then I'm going to the next story.
Roland, I agree with you 100%, but I'm going to tell you, brother, this federal bench terrifies me.
Of course.
We are going to be the ones that are going to be suffering under some kind of hyper-Christian, ultra-right Sharia law if we mess around and get caught up too closely. I'm with you, brother. She should calm the dog. But I tell you right now, brother, this federal bench thing is real for us.
Oh, it is real, which is why I keep making a point to white Democrats. To white Democrats, be smart when you running, but don't piss on the very people who you need to actually win. All right, folks. Speaking of that, in Georgia, guess who knows how to do that? Stacey Abrams. Okay, a black woman who knows how to go into rural America and talk to them, but also not diss black folks and Latinos. Polls are there showing they are essentially tied. And guess what? She got a phone call 3 days ago, which blew her out of the water when she answered her cell phone, and it was Oprah on the line. And Oprah showed up today, had 2 rallies for Stacey Abrams in Georgia, even went door knocking on her behalf. Here is some of Oprah at today's campaign event for Stacey Abrams.
The right to vote is like the crown we all get to wear. Maya used to say, baby, your crown has been paid for, so put it on your head and wear it. So your crown's been paid for. The right to vote is your crown. So this is a tight race here in Georgia. This is tight. And there are tight races all over this country that depend on all of us giving honor to our greatest democratic right and privilege. So let your vote make a difference. Let your vote count. Let your vote speak for you. If you're a woman, let me just talk to the women for a minute. If you're a woman, you need to recognize it hasn't even been 100 years since we even had the right to vote, since we were considered a piece of property. You couldn't even own a piece of property. I loved land so much, and I think, boy, if I was born at the turn of the century, 20th century, I wouldn't even have the right to own the land without your father or your husband saying it was so. You didn't have the right to even take care of yourself. So you didn't have a voice, and now we do. We as women people need to stand united and vote our values. Vote your values. Vote your conscience. All this noise, all the noise, you just can't get away from it. You turn on the TV, on the web. It's so much noise and crazy talk. All the vitriol in the ads. You know what? They are designed to confuse and confound you with fear. That's what they're done. They're designed to confound you with fear. They are not designed for people with discernment. Women, people, we have discernment. And when you know the right thing and you can feel it, you can feel what is the right thing to do, you can't be influenced by propaganda and fear. So now is the time for discernment. And only when we unite as sisters, and I don't just mean sisters, I mean sisters, black sisters, brown sisters, white sisters, Asian sisters, LGBTQ sisters. When we all unite, I know for sure a change is going to come. So I'm here today to support a change maker. She's a woman who dared believe that she could change the state of Georgia. And she is dynamic. She is so inspired and inspiring. She's bold. She's bold. She's bold. And bodacious. She's a Georgia warrior woman. Ladies and gentlemen, Stacey Abrams.
All right, folks, that was Oprah, of course, campaigning for Stacey Abrams. And then a little bit later, she went door to door. And surprised to say, this sister was a wee bit shocked.
She's home. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Oprah.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise! I am shocked.
Surprise. So I'm canvassing for Stacey Abrams.
Yes.
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 Are you voting for her?
I absolutely am.
You are voting for her.
Yes.
Do you have an early voting plan?
I do.
All right, well, as I said, it's a very tight race there in Georgia. There's supposed to be a debate tomorrow on WSB TV, but Brian Kemp said, oh, he can't make it for the 5 p.m. debate because he's going to be at the Trump rally at 4 p.m. That's kind of sucks because he actually agreed, Malik, to actually be at the debate. He worked it out. He said it was going to be there. But then when Trump comes, I can't make it. I'm just saying, what's more important, your word to debate your opponents or to stand with Trump 100 miles away?
Well, Georgia voters have a right to be concerned about it. I mean, if they were expecting him to attend the debate,
I mean, he agreed.
Yeah, he
on the date and the time.
He agreed, but you know, at the same time, it's the president of the United States.
But he agreed on the debate and the time.
Totally understand, but I can imagine that if it were the same and it was Barack Obama who's a candidate, who was campaigning for a candidate, I'm pretty sure that candidate would go.
And your party would be slamming that Democratic candidate for not showing up and keeping the word.
Hypocritical, the whole 9 yards. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you here, but I mean, I imagine that he would go.
Monique, this race again, a very, very close. I mean, Stacey Abrams can very well win this race. The difference here is that with her Georgia Voter Project, she was playing long ball, something Democrats somehow can't do. And that is, because I remember in 2012 standing, was on CNN, and Chris Van Hollen, then was member of Congress, member of the House, and he was over the DCCC, and I talked about Georgia potentially being purple. He kind of like poo-potted, and I said, dude, if you put the damn money into Georgia and register the very people who are unregistered, you can have a shot at actually winning. I said, which is the same thing in Texas. I said, that's why y'all asses keep losing.
Right, and what I'm hoping that the people who have not voted yet in Georgia can understand later on in the Q&A when Oprah was asking Stacey Abrams questions about what she would do, one of the first things that she talked about was Medicaid expansion. That's not just for black folks,
all y'all broke, sick-ass white folks.
Hello.
The myth lives.
All you broke, okay,
Hello.
let me real clear, broke, sick-ass white people.
Listen, because that Medicaid
more of them than of
expansion,
us.
she talked about how many counties don't have a doctor. It's not that they don't have a hospital, they don't have a doctor. So women, particularly women of color, are dying within a year of childbirth. They're stroking out and can't get to a hospital. They are dying of things that they should not die from. So, you know, come on, y'all.
Greg Carr in North Carolina, when Reverend Barber and others would have Moral Mondays, when those rural hospitals closed, the first person that died was a white woman who had to be airlifted some 60 miles away. And Reverend Barber told the story of being at a parade, and his redneck with a Confederate flag around his neck walked up to him with tears in his eyes saying, thanks for fighting for our hospitals. I mean, and see, and this is why I think Abrams is playing this thing right, and why McCaskill is an idiot, in that what Abrams is saying to these rural white voters is, y'all sick. And if you lose your hospital, that man is not going to expand Medicaid. That's how you actually message rural voters. She's not trashing her own party. She's saying, y'all sick, y'all broke, I'm here to save your hospital. He ain't. Greg?
That's right, Roland. You've been saying that for years. And last week you mentioned the Jesse Jackson campaigns of 1984 and 88, doing that very thing, going to poor whites and saying, these are the issues that we have in common. Reverend Barber's fusion politics in North Carolina is yielding results. Stacey Abrams is clearly the wave of the future. We saw today that Dagan McDowell on Fox News said that woman is going to get elected because of Oprah. Oprah transcends in many ways those kind of racial divides, and they're bringing her in to get those suburban white women. Finally, what you said is absolutely true. Contrasting with Missouri, Claire McCaskill is a politician of the past. She can probably not reform herself. But when you see in this next cycle, these waves of black and brown, younger politicians, even progressive white politicians like Beto O'Rourke in Texas, begin to run toward the issues, I think what we're seeing is the future of American politics.
Scott?
Oprah is a secret weapon and a pretty good campaigner. Kemp is going to the rally because he gets more out of that rally than he could ever do in going one-on-one against Stacey Abrams. Have you seen the debates? I mean, I'll be honest with you, the debates in Florida and Georgia have made it clear that the Democratic candidates who happen to be African-American and really smart are just doing a number on them. So, Stacey, don't forget this, too. They may be issue-driven in regard to these candidates of the future, but Stacey Abrams has a ground game in Georgia that is far superior than her Republican opponent. I was on Fox last night with the head of CPAP.
You on Fox last night?
I was, but
y'all won't call this brother.
I keep telling them, Roland, to call you. But even he did not concede.
They like safe brothers.
He did not concede, but he clearly acknowledged. Come on, he clearly acknowledged that she had a really, really strong ground game.
Again, because 6 years ago,
exactly.
Because 6 years ago,
Georgia Voter Project,
the Georgia Voter Project, which was nonpartisan,
right.
She understood you can't keep hoping and praying like white Democrats in Georgia. Oh, the white women in the suburbs, if we can just appeal to them, they're going to roll our ways.
But this is even better.
What she said is, look, I ain't wasting my time with them. I'm going to go after you, those who are disaffected, disenfranchised. I'm going to pull y'all out. That's how she dusted her opponent in the primary.
No, I agree. But what the Voter Project did was register lots of unregistered voters.
300,000.
But what Stacey has done is the second leg, that is always the second leg of voter registration, is Go TV, get out the vote.
Yes.
Having a mechanism in place to deliver those who registered and making them go vote. You got to have both now going forward. And they've got a game plan down there that is almost scientific and vis-a-vis the internet. And so she's got a shot, a real shot.
Part of her game plan that everybody can help with today, you don't even have to be in Georgia, is get on the phones and call. She's asking everybody in Georgia, if you've already voted, get 5 people to the polls. But if you're not in Georgia,
call
go to her website and get listed for the phone bank and make at least 5 calls a day. Y'all, this is razor thin. She needs 50
This ain't even going to the website.
Yeah.
This all the folks you know in Georgia. Call them, text them, cuss them out. Do whatever you need, bribe them, tell them, look, I'll take you to go get a 3-piece, take you behind to the polls, something. But do what you got to do. That's what you got to do. But Malik, I want to go to you and finish your last point on this. Bottom line is here. Brian Kemp said it. Look, if she can turn the people out, we're afraid. But this is also where Brian Kemp also can tag her as this candidate who somehow is far left. She dusted your girl Megyn Kelly on The View. Matter of fact, I'm gonna find it in a second. When Megyn McCain tried to press Stacey Abrams about guns, Stacey was calm, cool, and collected. She pretty much like, look at here.
Right.
I shoot.
She's sharp.
My daddy shoot.
Right.
My family shoot. Yep. She just destroyed Megyn McCain on the gun issue.
She's sharp. I can say it is pretty exciting, the idea that we may have the first African-American female governor
in American history.
In American history. So even though I'm a Republican, I can still be excited about that. I don't have
She's a true sister.
And I appreciate it.
Hey, Greg,
something that I appreciate about
What is wrong with that?
Hey, Greg, real quick, I want to go to you here. Again, bottom line is, on this point here, when I say Stacey, what she's doing is she is running one of the smartest campaigns because she said, don't waste your time on people who you're never going to convince. Convince the people who are more likely to vote for you.
That's right, brother. Listen, you've had on your shows the wave of the future, people like Jessica Bird at 3 Point Strategies, Kayla Reed at Electoral Justice Project, my former student at Howard, Stephanie Brown James of the Collective PAC. These young black women have really looked at this thing, and whether it's Ayanna Pressley, Massachusetts, Johanna Hayes in Connecticut, New York Times just had an article today about it. But you've been reporting on this for years. They have finally gotten it. Let's go get these folks who haven't been engaged, get them engaged, and turn this whole political equation into something that these vote suppressors had never anticipated. That's why they're working so hard to suppress the vote in Georgia.
And so I want to do this here. I'm going to go to commercial in a second, but I got to play this for y'all because this was just too great. Go to my iPad, please. This is Meghan McCain. Stacey Abrams.
An anti-gun organization, Michael Bloomberg's anti-gun group as well. You say you're proud to have an F rating from the NRA. Michael Bloomberg and others like him, in the wake of what happened in Pittsburgh, support taking away the AR-15, which is the most popular rifle in America, away from people. Do you, like Everytown, support banning the AR-15?
So let's be clear, I am not anti-gun. My great-grandmother taught me how to shoot when I was growing up in Mississippi. I like trap shooting, I like target shooting. I don't hunt because I mostly eat chicken, and that just seems mean. However, I know that the most responsible gun owners understand that they have the responsibility for the firearms and making sure that only responsible people have those firearms. That's why I believe in a background check. I believe in a 3-day waiting period. I believe that those who commit domestic violence and stalking should not have access to weapons. I do not believe that weapons of mass destruction like the AR-15 belong in civilian hands.
So you think
and
it
I don't
should be
think
banned?
I do. I think they should be prohibited from civilian use. I've shot an AR-15, and I think you probably have too. And while it's an amazing amount of power, it also is an amazing amount of destruction. And there is very little that can be done to protect vulnerable communities when the AR-15 is present.
I do appreciate your honesty, and I assume that by banning it, you would be rounding them up. It's the most popular gun in America. Around 61% of all U.S. civilian rifle sales. Would we be rounding them up from civilians in Georgia that own it?
We have had a ban on assault weapons before in the United States, and I think that we should do it again. I think that there has to be a conversation of how it's accomplished, because we have to recognize that this is a national conversation. But I do want to push back on any notion that I believe that the Second Amendment is not the law of the land. I support the Second Amendment. We buy my father rifles every Christmas, and a gun cabinet was his gift a couple of years ago. It is possible to believe in responsible gun ownership and to believe that there should be regulations on that. Anthony Scalia said that. And we have to believe as a nation that when our communities are vulnerable, when you can't go into a synagogue or a church or a school or a movie theater without fear for your life, there is something wrong with our system of gun ownership, and we have to fix it.
Okay. I appreciate your honesty saying that you want to ban it.
Again, y'all, she was trying to get her to say the words, I will ban guns. She's like, no, boo, I ain't that crazy. I got this. All right, y'all, going to a break right now. We come back. We talk about crazy white men, crazy white women. Yeah, we got a crazy white man, too, acting a fool in the stores. We'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Back in a moment. Hey folks, Roland Martin here. So I ran to this young sister who said, look, I'm not wasting my time voting in these national elections. So I then said, okay, fine, what do you care about? So she began to talk about student loan debt. She began to talk about health care. She began to talk about what's happening with the environment. I said, well, who the hell do you think controls all of that? Those folks who we elect to office. I said, baby, you can't sit on the sideline. You've got to get in the game. Otherwise, somebody else will be controlling your destiny. That's why you got to be woke, stay woke, and vote. Hey Okay, folks, if you're looking for a hot new investment opportunity, I have two things I want you to think about: illegal marijuana and crowdfunding. Now, you just let that sink in for a second. Our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate have created a unique opportunity for everyday investors like you to get in the game for a minimum of $300 or $10,000, 50 grand, or even $100,000. You can get in where you want to fit in. Now, typically, it takes millions, if not billions, to invest in the legal marijuana industry, and it can be pretty risky trying to establish market share. However, Transatlantic Real Estate is taking a different approach. They buy the land that supports marijuana grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. Now, imagine being a landlord to a licensed marijuana farm. With the prospects of further legalization and changing public perceptions about marijuana, some investors could end up making serious money over the next several years. The best part is they are using crowdfunding so you can get in now before they take the company public. If you want to find out more, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org to get in now. All right, folks. Y'all know Donald Trump keeps lying. Y'all know he keeps lying, keeps lying, keeps lying. And he dropped this ad today on social media. We're only going to play 10 seconds of it because I'm not trying to give this fool all his attention. But I'm going to show you the 10 seconds, then I'm going to come back and show you how he lying. Press play.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please step out of the hallway.
Come on. Right there. Donald Trump straight up lied. Democrats let him into the country. No, it was Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio, his office, who released him. And it was George W. Bush administration who allowed him to come back in. Malik, this is a lying president who keeps wanting to blame illegal immigration on Democrats as if Republicans are not on the local, state, and national level. This is a lying tweet and a lying ad.
You
ain't got to defend the lie. Just go ahead and say, Roland, you right. Just say, Roland, you right.
So instances like this make it difficult for black conservatives to recruit people to the party. Now, I get what Donald Trump was going. I mean, I can say it's fear-mongering. It's our more heated version of what Claire McCaskill did, considering what we just talked about. And it's unfortunate that Donald Trump is doing this. It's something that people do, unfortunately, in campaigns to win. I wish it were not happening, but unfortunately it is. And just like I can have a problem with what Claire McCaskill did, just like I can have a problem with even some of the things that Candace Owens has done, I can definitely have a problem with this. I can't. It's fear-mongering.
Lie, Monique. Lie, 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 lie.
Right. Well, I mean, he only lies when he breathes. But the point is, the point for conservatives ought to be, and I'm not one, but it's not that they should have a difficult time recruiting. They wouldn't if they just would locate a spine. Because true conservatives, the ones that I used to enjoy sparring against because we disagreed about fiscal policy, we disagreed about gun legislation, we had there's nothing left. I mean, the conservatives are in an identity crisis. And what we need, I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? Because there's a Trumpkin party right now. It's not a wing. You know, all of the power right now belongs to Trumpologists. So anyone who used to be, no, it's not at all.
Part of the party belongs
all you have to do is look back to the Obama. All you have to do is look back to Obama.
We ain't getting away from the subject at hand.
Yeah.
Scott and Greg, he lied his ass off in the tweet.
But
Scott and Greg.
2 points. That ad is the Willie Horton 2.0, all right? And it's been endorsed by the president. But the biggest lie and the ongoing lie that Donald Trump tells and the Republicans tell and the GOP tell is that immigration, crime, the economy, that if it's not good, if it's bad, they blame the Democrats. And who's in the White House? Who's in the House? Who's in the Senate? Who has the most governorships? who has the most state legislatures, is all GOP. And they criticize with their base, they criticize Democrats for not joining them in policies that will take away health care and will harm America. Remember, 65% of America doesn't agree with the direction the GOP is taking this country in. It's an ongoing, huge lie that's got to stop.
Greg?
Roland, next week marks the second anniversary of when you did wall-to-wall election night coverage, and we were all together when the unthinkable happened. Donald Trump became president of the United States. Number one, do not underestimate the power of fear-mongering. Number two, the man is running scared. His party is running scared. So they've taken out all the stops and dropped all the pretenses. He's in Missouri tonight. Between now and Tuesday, he's going to be in Montana, Florida. He's going to Georgia, going to Indiana twice, West Virginia, Tennessee, Ohio. The fear-mongering now has come down to what you've been stressing the last month, especially the last week. This is going to come down to voter turnout. We cannot allow this to be close enough for them to steal. This is the point where you break their electoral backs.
And here's the deal.
This is the terrifying thing.
So I got this dude, Akon Defente. I got to call this fool out. He on YouTube. He goes, how was it a lie? He could have gotten it wrong.
How was what a lie? Who could have gotten it wrong?
He's saying he could have just been
What is that about?
incorrect
Oh.
about
Akon,
who
you
was
got to be a
responsible.
dumbass. He could have gotten it wrong. That's what a lie is. I mean, right, he said, right, how was it a lie? He could have gotten it wrong.
Is he talking about them?
Well, you say
He's talking about Trump, that he could have just been mistaken. Listen, no.
And see, that's
there's a difference between a lie
But
and
see, that's
making a
also-
mistake.
but see-
Trump lies with impunity.
But let me tell you.
He's
Let me
reckless
tell you.
with respect to
but,
facts.
But Matt Schlapp,
Yeah.
American Conservative Union, we were on ABC this week. And Matt Dow got in his behind. And so when it was over, we were all, and he was going at Matt. And I was like, all right. He's like, well, you got a question about Trump? Ask me. I said, fine. Matt, why does he lie so much? This is what Matt said, Mr. CPAC. He said, it's not that he lies, he believes what he says. I said,
Therefore, it's not a lie?
I said, Matt, that's about the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard in my life. I said, that's like me saying, now, Daddy, I wasn't out hanging out with my friends. Why your ass came home late? Son, your ass lying. He ain't gonna say you mischaracterizing what took place. He gonna say, son, you're lying. This man lies. And what he did, and his audience, let's just be real clear. The Trumpettes, the Trumpites, and the maggots, all of them, M-A-G-A-T-S, all of them, they will believe the lie. And then even when they know he lying, they say, well, at least he's speaking his mind. That's also about the dumbest thing I've ever heard, believe.
Well, see, I think part of it, you can say Trumpkins or whatever, but we're really talking about each person's base. So the people who are more likely to believe whatever it is that a politician says.
No. Malik, we ain't never seen on a federal, state, or local level anything. This dude, we got numbers, more than 4,000 lies in the first 2 years. And they like, oh yeah, man, but he speak his mind.
But I don't think, I think it's, I don't think that each person who supports Trump, each person actually believes or agrees with what he's saying. They may defend.
But they accept it?
I don't think
they
that's
like
true.
hearing the lies,
because
so
I know a lot
they
of
absolve
them.
them in
I
wrongdoing.
know a lot of them.
Okay.
And when we're having our conversations, they actually are pushing back against them. When we're on
Where?
Whether it's on Facebook, whether it's in person, I know a lot of these people.
Hold on. I know
it's true.
Okay, all right.
We don't hear that in the news, but I know a lot of people who disagree
You
with
mean
things that Trump
They're
says.
not
wait a
pushing
minute,
back
you mean the
because they
same
like those lies.
But you don't see them. We don't see them on television.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yes,
Yes, you do. You see him on a whole damn network. Like, for instance,
the people who push back.
Right. We don't see that on television because it's not a sexy story.
well, actually, you do see that because you do see people like Steve Schmidt and Rick Wilson and others who have been longtime Republicans.
Well, I mean,
Stuart Stevens.
well, I'm not Steve Schmidt.
Well, because first of all, because a lot of the black people just happen to try to be on TV. If we really want to be honest.
You know what?
If we really want to be honest.
But hey, I will say that there's probably some validity to the fact that people don't want to be too critical of the president because they want to be in line with the president.
And that's what happens. And that's what happens when.
And it happens in politics.
And that's called no guts. All right, y'all.
Are you saying black
Check
conservatives
out
have no guts?
Y'all, huh?
Is that what you're saying? Black conservatives have no guts in America. Is that what you're saying? I think that's just what you're
That
saying.
ain't the first time I said it. All right, y'all. An entitled white man thinks it's okay to cuss and use an N-word at a Dunkin' Donuts worker.
all right.
Because he thought the service was too slow. Today's edition of Crazy Ass White Man.
Nigger?
Yeah, your mother.
You nigger.
Yes.
Nigger.
Your mama.
Nigger.
Your mother.
Nigger. Nigger.
Yeah.
You nigger.
Okay.
Coon.
Hello?
How you
Hold on,
about to
time.
nigger?
I don't like this.
Nigger.
Disturbing the peace.
I need to air out. You got to beat your head.
Oh my God.
Do it now.
Coon.
Do it now.
Nigger.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, I can't wait till we get his name, because guess what? It's going to be somebody else with no job in about 48 hours.
Yep.
Greg, that's how this thing going. I keep telling you, Greg, we're going to get rid of black unemployment long as we keep videotaping crazy white people.
Let me tell you something, Roland. I'm out here in Chicago. Chicago State University just dedicated the first annual Jeremiah Wright Jr. lecture series. He said he tell you hello, and all these elders out here said the same thing. They watching you, and they're glad you're back on the air. I'm saying out to say this. Out here in Chicago, man, the feeling is that these fools are going to do this to themselves. They're losing their minds. But I tell you what, he better not walk in the wrong Dunkin' Donuts talking crazy like that, because there's going to be something else on that video.
Ain't going to be praying.
No, sir.
Might be P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. That's how it's going to go down. All right, y'all. So let me also deal with this here in Louisville. A white man, of course, who killed 2 black folks at a Kroger in Louisville last week. He tried to go into a black church, but of course the door was locked. He was captured. When he was captured, a bystander said that whites don't shoot whites. But in Kentucky, it's not a hate crime. They say the Kentucky statute does not list murder as a possible hate crime. But here's the other piece. You still, of course, you have federal. At the end of the day, the key is, will he get charged with murder? That's the whole key. I certainly would hope so.
Well, the important part is, one, he'll be charged with murder, but secondly, as part of that statutory or court rules, that at sentencing, the judge can take any and everything into consideration. It'll certainly be taken as a race-based crime, and the judge can add time as a penalty, additional penalty. So I don't like the idea that the state legislature in Kentucky missed this point, but I think in the end, if he gets convicted, he's going to be served a very long time.
And didn't he say something about black people, or
Specifically, he said whites don't shoot whites.
Right. That's a huge piece. That's a strong piece of evidence that it's race-based, and the fact that that he went to the black church and couldn't get in, and then went to the Kroger, and then said that, and then executed these black elderly couple. Didn't just shoot them from afar.
Yep.
Executed them they got shot in the back of their heads or in some other maimed way. So this was very intentional. What I don't understand is this, right? Why are white people and the GOP so angry? There have been 150.
Wait a minute. Is he a Republican?
Of course he's a right-wing extremist. Let me give you some statistics. 115 domestic terrorism acts. The majority committed by white people or right-wingers, right? And when they commit them versus other groups, they do more harm than other groups, right? What are they so angry about? They're either Trump supporters, or they're right wing, or they're extremists.
So in other words, they're Republicans.
Hold on. Well, they tend to support Republicans. They tend to support Trump.
Okay.
But when Don Lemon says that white men are the biggest threat in comparison to this caravan that's 1,000 miles away, he was talking about this group right here, where statistics support what he says in this space.
Yeah.
I wouldn't paint it with a broad brush.
Yeah, but that's what he did, though. That's what Don Lemon did.
But the GOP, these people will support Trump. They have the president, they have the House, they have the Senate, they got the state. What are they so angry about?
So,
The GOP
but I want to know,
controls
but
more
when these
America than
things were
anybody else.
happening,
It's
these
not about
things have been
Republicans.
these things have been happening forever. Now.
They have, but
Yeah.
it is.
But they
there
tend
are
to be.
more
Hold on,
white
Malik.
men
Exactly.
between the ages of 18 and 26 who are committing these crimes, and they are typically right-wing extremists. We need to just look at how we are homegrowing terrorism and why
White
it is
domestic
young
terrorists.
white
Right.
males, and the anger. Obviously, I mean, they're being replaced. You know, there was a time period where what we see in the Senate
But
today
they're in control right now.
represented-
No,
but
but
there was a time when what-
but
those
you
are
gotta understand,
old-timers.
they want
Right.
total. They want total control.
And it's
they don't
very
want to
obvious
share
that it's
nothing.
changing.
But
Yeah.
I think it's
Very
something
obvious
else.
that it's changing.
That the browning
Real
of
quick.
America is upon them. That's
That's what I'm
really
saying.
it.
It's
Are we saying the same
changing.
thing?
Yeah.
Okay. That the browning of America they fear the most. You say
That's
in
what she was
25
saying.
years. Some people say in 10 years, 15.
No. First of all, it ain't gonna be 10 to 15 years. But right now, you have the
I
majority.
said some people say.
Okay, some people can't count.
Well, that's what Donald Trump
Okay,
said.
it's not going to be 10 to 15 years. It's going by 2039, the workforce is going to be majority people of color. By 2043, at the earliest, it's going to be people of color. 53% a minority, 47% white by 2043. That's what white fear is. What is driving them crazy? Because Malik, what they really scared of, they know what in the hell they did to us.
What?
They really scared of, damn, what they gonna do to us? What, are they gonna do to us what we did to them?
Because that's their mindset.
Malik, go ahead.
What they
Malik
did to
and
us.
Greg, then I gotta go.
Yeah, I wish I can say that this is something. Well, no, I don't wish I can say that. This isn't limited to one side. I think it's more pronounced now that we have a Republican in office. But
Just
these
gave you
things,
statistics.
but these things.
Majority of white men are the
Malik,
domestic.
go ahead. Malik, go ahead.
But yeah, but the majority are white. There are more white men in America. Period.
Okay.
So if we're going to if we're going to talk about a data set,
Actually, majority of white women.
well, majority of white women, but there are more white men than there are black men or black women. I mean, that's something that
It's
y'all
just
know.
a segment. I'm not talking about all white men.
Okay,
But what-
hold on.
Cast
I'm gonna get to
vote.
y'all white men later. Greg, your final comment, then I gotta toss to this voting package. Go.
Roland, very quickly, you were joking, but I know you also weren't joking. The fear of white minority, becoming white minority, will drive a notion of them beginning to protect minority rights. In South Dakota, for example, there's Initiative 10 on the ballot trying to create a super majority of 55% before they can have any changes in their state constitution by referendum. What they're going to start doing, I suspect, you're going to start seeing them be very interested in protecting minority rights. And they're going to begin to define that as white minority rights. And I think you were joking, but I think that's what's going to be on the horizon in the next generation.
No, I wasn't joking. I was very serious because I give speeches on this. And the bottom line is you're absolutely right because we saw what happened after Harold Washington became mayor of Chicago, where it used to be the person who got the most votes in the Democratic primary goes on to the general election and they win. What did those white folks in Chicago do? Oh, no, you got to win 50+1 if you want to win the primary. It was all in response to Harold Washington because what they said is we are never going to have it again, but two white folks are running and the black person is running, and then they got a shot at winning. All right, folks, election season is upon us again. Voting is on Tuesday. Early voting will be ending in many places tomorrow or Saturday. And so don't forget, you do have souls to the polls some places on Sunday. And then there are some places also have same-day voter registration. So check your particular state. Tomorrow I'll be broadcasting live from Texas Southern University, where at 11 a.m. Eastern, Black Votes Matter will have their rally on the campus of TSU. We'll be live streaming that event. I'll be speaking as well, so the TSU students are going to be helping me with that. And then, of course, we'll be broadcasting the show from the campus of TSU tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. In addition to that, on Saturday, I'm going to be going out with State Senator Rodney Ellis, visiting some folks and knocking on some doors, getting folks to go out and vote as well. Then, of course, I'll fly to Gainesville, Florida, speaking to the NAACP, their Freedom Fund dinner Sunday night, but we'll be visiting a number of black churches in Gainesville on Sunday morning. Then on Monday, do Tom Joyner Morning Show, and then, of course, we'll head to Atlanta for the prayer rally taking place at Ebenezer Baptist Church Monday night. I'll be broadcasting the show from there, and we'll be live streaming that rally as well. And then, of course, we'll be back here on Tuesday. Mark your calendars. We will not have a 6 p.m. show on Tuesday on Election Day. We will go live beginning at 8 p.m. going to 1 a.m. On Tuesday on election night. And so, trust me, if y'all want to look for the black perspective, it ain't going to be on CNN. It ain't going to be on MSNBC. It's not damn sure they're going to be on at Fox or ABC or CBS or NBC. This will be the only place where you'll be actually seeing a broadcast of all kind of black perspectives, Republicans and Democrats, independents breaking down the election results. And so we look forward to all of that happening. I told you folks, the last month I was in Los Angeles with the folks with Be Woke.Vote. We had lots of interviews with them talking about the campaigns. And so we interviewed a number of different people there. Erica Ashe, Erica Alexander, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Reverend Dr. Jim Lawson, a number of people. But one of the folks we talked to was Zalaha Nayo, who was a immigrant from Colombia. She talked about, again, for her, what it was like voting for the first time and why so many young folks and others don't vote. So here's our conversation. I'll see you guys tomorrow from Houston. Holla!
Everything that's going on right now, I think we have to look at this in a different way. We have to stop being angry and start recognizing that we do have this power and stepping into it.
You can't hold us back. You can't hold us back. You can't hold us back.
Hey folks, I'm Roland Martin. This is Welcome to Be Woke.Vote. I'm the host of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Glad to have you with us. By 2043, America will be a nation majority people of color. And of those minority groups, Latinos will be the largest group. But will they maximize their voting power? Well, that's a concern of my next guest. She has been always focused on that issue and others as well. So welcome, Zalaha Nayo. What's happening?
Thanks, Roland. Hi.
For you, when did you first vote?
Oh, God. To be honest with you, first time Obama.
So 08.
Yeah.
Why didn't you vote before that? Was it just...
I'm going to be very honest with you. I came to this country when I was 4 years old from Colombia, from immigrant parents. And for a long time, even getting success in my career to me was hindered by this underlying thought that I wasn't enough or that I didn't matter because I was just an immigrant girl who came here.
So the story of America is a nation of immigrants.
But I understand that now, and that's why, look, I'm getting impassioned talking about it because I know that mindset so very well. They don't think they matter, and they don't think that people care that they vote or not because this isn't their country, that they don't belong here, and they're being fed this same rhetoric by these people every day. There are painful moments in that mindset, and I know that there's a lot of people there right now. And that's what I wanted to come here and talk to you about and say to whoever's watching and listening that may have come here, you belong. There's a reason you're here. You matter. It pains me to know that there are people that felt like I felt so many years ago that won't go to vote. So I'm committing to spending the next couple of weeks. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to register 10 people. I started last night, so I'm 1 down, 9 to go.
Yes, and one of the things that we've talked about is that numbers are one thing.
Right.
But how you take advantage of that is another. In Texas, 2.1 million Latinos eligible to vote, but not registered. That means they are sitting on power, but not using it.
Right. I think there's a two-part problem to this. I don't feel that they're not voting because they don't want to or because they don't care. I think they're not voting because they think they don't matter. When you get naturalized in this country and you become a citizen and you're eligible to vote, I experienced this with my mom. The first time I took her to vote was when she voted for President Obama.
2008, 2012. The first time you ran. Okay, got it. Second time you ran. Okay.
Yeah. She walked around with a sense of pride that I'd never seen in her that I really loved. And I said, Mom, why was this the first time you cared to vote? And I kind of felt guilty because I didn't really impassion her to do so before. But I think that because a lot of Latino people in the country, they have this right, but they don't feel like they belong. That to me is the bigger issue. So I think everything that's going on right now, I think we have to look at this in a different way. We have to stop being angry and start recognizing that we do have this power and stepping into it. We have to try and get to young people and make them matter, especially Latinos, because like you said, we're the fastest growing demographic in the country. I myself talk to people all the time. They're like, the kids in my family that are now eligible to vote, they're like, yeah, but you know, it's just such a big task. It's so overwhelming. And I'm like, yeah, we're not changing the world in one day. We're just trying to make a small difference. And you do matter. Your vote does matter.
Well, and one of the things that I have consistently talked about in all of these different interviews is that we also have to connect the dots
Right.
to get folks to understand it happens.
There's an action that
here.
needs to take place, right. We see the problem and we complain about it, but we stay in that place. And I think that we're entering a different era. And I think that these things are all happening for a reason. I think that they're so glaringly obvious and they're so devastating for a reason, because our collective American dream is at stake. It's not just Latinos. It's the fabric of this country that we grew to love and what we believe this country is and what other countries look to us for.
Would you also say that what you're dealing with is, so let's just compare two different groups. For Black Americans,
right,
because of slavery, because of the complete destroying of the past, there really is no direct connection to various African countries.
Right.
And so if you're from Mexico, if you're from Colombia, if you're from any other particular country, it's, yeah, I'm here, but I'm also from there. As opposed to saying, I'm Colombian.
Right. I'd had this conversation last night. I'm American Colombian. I love Colombia. I was born there. But this is the country that I love, that I call home. So this is the place that I have my allegiance to. This is who I care for, the people that I care for, my family that one day, hopefully, I will raise will live here. Latinos are the fastest and growing demographic, and they don't think that they matter, and that to me is a sad part. And so this is probably the most important election that we've had in a long time, and I get so impassioned by it because there are so many things that have happened that if we don't see them for what they are, this is just going to continue to, get out of control. If I don't actually say, hey, I'm going to commit to registering 10 people to vote.
Right.
And that's the thing, I think, is we get so hung up on the big picture. The big picture matters, but it only matters when we all do small things.
Right.
That's how it happens. It's not, hey, let's just post on Twitter and post on Instagram, because yes, social media is huge, we know it, but we have to actually get out there and walk the walk.
But see, but the thing, what you just said though is, and which I believe is the one thing people are absolutely afraid of, it's accountability.
Yeah.
Because see, I can easily post it.
Yeah.
But when you say, I am going to register 10 people, that means that I am going to have to get up, and even if I'm not a registrar, I'm going to have to take folks there.
Or go online, it's just
absolutely.
right. Yeah.
But that means I'm going to ask the question, are you registered? If you're not, okay, we're going to register you right now. Okay, what do you mean right now? I'm real busy right now. No, we're going to do this right now.
I just did it with my best friend last night. Yeah, she was at my house and she said, I saw you posted. I said, yeah, are you registered? She's like, no, I just moved. But like I said, deadline is October 22nd. You have no time. You have to do. She's like, oh, wow. She went home. She's like, I just registered. I mean, and this is the time to do it. Aren't there 3 states that have 3 potential black governors?
Yeah, Maryland, Florida, and Georgia.
We have Latina legislators. I mean, this is a time for us to make history and to have people that share our ideals and our vision for the country and to move it forward. And if this isn't when we do it, the opportunity, and then there's no coming back from this.
There you go. So I've been doing this, everybody I've talked to. You almost did it, but we're going to put you under the clock.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
I don't like this. Please don't. I'm really
you'll be
bad
all
under
right. You'll be all right. You get over it. Don't worry about it.
Roland,
You'll survive.
I'm so scared.
No, you'll survive. So here's a test. You have come upon a young person. You've come upon somebody who's middle-aged or who's older. They've never voted. And you run to them, and you have 30 seconds to convince them why they must vote. What do you say in the 30 seconds?
Sir, ma'am, you must
Hold
vote. Oh,
Go.
God. Okay, sir, ma'am, you must vote because everything that you grew up believing that was true about our beautiful country is at stake, because your grandchildren depend on you, because it depends on how they will grow up, their character, who they become, because... Oh, because
you're doing good.
Roland, because you matter and because you're smart and beautiful and because you belong here, sir, because we are counting on you and our future, our kids need you, and God, I'm struggling here.
You're fine. That's 28 seconds. You did it. See? What? Bingo. That was it.
That was it? Okay.
That was the message.
I got 28 seconds?
You had 2 left.
Yeah.
So you could have breathed.
I sold myself short. Okay.
Folks, give it up for Zulahaneo.
Thank you. Hi, guys. This is Zulai here with Roland. This is our country. Own it. Vote.